yeah, uh, figuring, I feel like uh, figuring out uh, how to be there for one's one's oneself can uh, help in everyday life. And uh, yeah, I had a lot more written down, but it's now not as, yeah, I, and uh, uh, after uh, just uh, coming to terms with the fact that I stuttered, I found that the next great hurdle that I had to uh, come to terms with when it comes to being there for my myself was uh, trying to uh, figure uh, was to uh, figure out what uh, it was trying to figure out uh, why I was uh, worried uh, about uh, what others thought of my speech. That I feel like that has been greatest the greatest obstacle I've had to uh, come to in order to be there for my my myself, uh, and it's still something I'm working on. And I feel like there will be always be that worry, but as I feel like as long as I know that uh, there's that something that that is one of the biggest worries I I I have was one of the biggest moments of me showing up for myself. Uh, I
So
think,
there we go. Hey, can you hear me, Jackson?
yeah,
Awesome. I was gonna say, you are welcome to share as much as you'd like, and if at some point you're done, just let me know. But I did want to reflect that showing up for yourself when you're not sure what other people think is a very big deal. Was there more that you wanted to say? Because it seemed like you might have shared all you wanted.
uh, yeah, that was where I was going to wrap up.
Awesome. So, Jackson, thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of us can relate. Acknowledging that we are people who stutter, that's a big step. having a community does make it a lot easier to show up. So great point there. And I think we can all relate to what it's like to worry and to still show up for ourselves in that. And I think you're doing that right now. So thank you for sharing all of those points and for being here. All right, we're going to now move to our next panelist, John Hendrickson. Can you please share with us what does showing up mean to you?
Thanks, Haya. More than anything, I think showing up means letting your guard down. And it's a lot of what Jackson and Gianna have already said. That's about just accepting yourself and just about saying, this is who I am. This is my first year coming to Friends, and I'm participating in a few other conferences over the next couple of months, because I wrote this article about Joe Biden and his lifelong journey as a person who stutters. And in that article, I also talked about my journey. And I interviewed some people who I see on the chat here. I interviewed Emma Alpern, I interviewed Eric Jackson, who just had that wonderful music happy hour. And over the past 6 months or so, I've gotten emails from a lot of people, and it's awesome putting faces to names here. And I'm sharing all that because all of this is really new to me still. And I've been a person who stutters, for basically my entire life. But I never quite identified as that. I never introduced myself as that. I never participated in any panels or conferences or group events like this. I never met many people who stutter at all. And it felt very, very lonely and isolating, basically until this year, when I wrote this article, and then I met a lot of members of this community. And so I think showing up to me means just letting your guard down and being willing to talk about the difficult parts of this, or the painful, awkward, uncomfortable parts of this. Because that's how you ultimately learn that you aren't alone with it. Thanks, Haya.
Thank you, John. You, again, I feel like you're all bringing up such beautiful points. Letting your guard down, to show up at this conference, having never been in such a place before, is huge. And I think we all feel honored that you're here. Also, you got to write this amazing article, which Barry just posted, where you spoke to Joe Biden. So I think also just in terms of the work you do, showing up to places that can be really challenging and going there anyway. I heard you say accepting yourself and saying, this is who I am. So that's, again, what you're doing here, right here, right now. You gave us some extra time. I'm sure the audience will be happy for that in the end, should there be questions. So we'll be moving on now to our next panelist. And Akaiya, what does showing up mean to you?
Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Just making sure, because I have this headset on, I don't know how to use it. So just let me know if you can't hear me. So if, for those who don't know my name is Akaiya. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana. This fall, I will be a senior in high school. This is actually my 6th year attending the Friends Conference, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be speaking on here again. Before I get started on what showing up means to me, I would like to thank Lee personally for all that he does for friends, and I just want her to know that without this awesome organization, I wouldn't be where I am today. For this year's topic, it took me a minute to grasp what showing up meant in my life, because when you think about showing up, I think about actually showing up. But when I went back to reflect on my progress that I made this year, I can see 3 overarching things that does describe showing up for me. These 3 things are resilience, advocacy, and vulnerability. Resilience. There was an incident where I displayed resilience in many ways. It happened during my junior year of high school during the very few weeks of school. This year, I decided I wanted to be more involved in different clubs, and also put myself more out there. One of the clubs I was in was student body of my school's newspaper. I was a reporter on there, and it involved talking to people that I didn't know. The incident was with a couple of senior girls who laughed at me and walked out of my face when I tried interviewing them, and that really had brought my confidence down, because I was just embarrassed, and of course I didn't know anyone in the club where I could turn to. I ended up telling my sponsors through email later that night, and I also had a speech therapy appointment that evening, so I was able to let things out. But from that particular experience, I realized 2 things. One, they didn't have to be in my article. And number 2, they didn't have to be in my story. And by story, I'm talking about the blocks that built me up as a person. And I wasn't going to allow those experiences to put me down. Instead, I was going to show resiliency and keep stuttering out. Number 2, advocacy. I am sure everybody heard of a new app called TikTok. TikTok is a social media platform that allows you to make and send videos worldwide. There is this girl named Caitlin who stutters and went viral. I came across her one day and I saw the comments, and just scrolling through them made me realize, wow, people really don't get it. And when I say don't get it, I'm not referring to them understanding. But there were people in the comments who thought it was a joke or it's something that we can control. From that point on, I felt it was necessary for me to say something. If you know me, you would know that I am very reserved and not very outspoken. I'm occasionally not the person to talk directly on videos, especially if it's going to be worldwide. But one day I made a video and I stuttered. But stuttering to me wasn't really a big deal. The big deal was me publicly advocating my stutter and people being supportive by it. Posting this video showed me that I'm finally putting a word out there. Some of the questions or feedback I got was, my daughter stutters and I'm going to show her this. Thank you. Questions like, do you stutter when you sing? Have you gotten turned down by a job because of your stutter? And I'm very thankful to be able to experience support like this. The last thing is vulnerability. This past year, I really took some big chances, including joining 3 new clubs at my school. And by just me joining the newspaper club just shows vulnerability because I knew I had to speak, and I know my walls get built up due to my stutter. This March, I decided I wanted to apply for a job, which also shows vulnerability because I'm putting myself more out there into a situation I wasn't comfortable with. During the interview process of the job was through a phone. And if I'm being honest, I only talk to my dad or family on a phone if I have to. Vulnerability is something I'm still working on because I know I'm not perfect, nor am I vulnerable, but it's something I want it to be because I know it's going to be how I grow. Soon I'll be off to college and independent woman, and I'm gonna have to balance. Sometimes I try to avoid obstacles, but that's not showing up. Showing up is being brave. I would like to end off my talk with a quote by Brené Brown. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen, and we have no control over the outcome. Thank you.
Wow, Akaiya, thank you. You covered so many points with such beauty. Resilience, advocacy, vulnerability. I'm so sorry what happened to you with the school interviews, but boy, did you bounce back and you went forward in so many other ways.
Thank you.
With college, and thanks for being a shining beacon of light to show us what it means to show up. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, and now we will hear from OT. OT, what's it like for you to show up?
Hello. Hi, everyone. But by the way, first of all, I need to say congratulations my 4 of my friends. They touch very good points. My name is honor takener, OT, whichever you prefer. So I'm gonna explain the show up part a little bit my life story basically. I am stutter since I was 3 years old, and when I came, my stuttering is basically kind of cover stutter. So I'm from Turkey, so I native language is Turkish. So I used to all my family are like uh, acting to me like I'm not stutter. So when I came 15 years old or something like that, and for example, when we go to a restaurant, and whenever we give order to server, they like if I'm fluent, they say, oh, or my not just my family but or my friends, so they say to me, oh, your order very nice, or so many something like that things build up on me so much fear, because I was thinking stuttering is not good. So because whenever I not stutter during conversation, they say me, oh, you talk very good, or so, something like that. And that's so many things from my past. And one more thing I gonna tell, it's kind of I never forget that moment. Before I graduated from college, I was in Turkey, and me and my father was going somewhere. And in the city, like there's a very, very small buses. You giving, money, and you saying where you want to go. And that time I stuttered so badly, and like kind of was long block. And my father says, what happened to you? I never forget that moment. Never forget. Because like whenever he told me, I was like feeling I couldn't hide that time, because my problem is some like specific sounds, and that sounds came and I couldn't change the word. Plus that in Turkish I could change so many substitute words, like I was using tricks. So then I came here for learning new language, English, Chicago 4 years ago. And when I came here, I was just graduate from college, and that time I was like feeling so I mean like I lost Turkish language first place, and I couldn't substitute word because my vocabulary was so small, and stuttering became to me like more blocking. Maybe I used to have blocking, but I was using tricks. I never seen that much blocking since I came here. And my first year as well was basically unhappiness year in my life, because I was so depressed. I couldn't talk. I'm learning new language, but I like feeling I'm not gonna show up. Whatever I learn, probably I cannot prove I learn, because like I feeling that pressure. So many things going on, and I was in same time I was like working at bar as a server, and people asking me like what kind do you have beer? Whenever I tell them, it's kind of a little bit blocking, or like for example, I remember there's a Great Lakes, there's a one beer, and it says like two type of it. So Edmund Fitzgerald, which is my one of trouble sound, E sounds. Another one is I don't remember that one. So whenever they ask me, I was like blocking. I'm just running away, and then like getting cold sweat and all of things. Like I was like so depressed why I couldn't do that. I was blaming myself. So basically, after 1 year, I was writing journal. I was always writing same thing. I'm gonna do it today. I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna get self-confident, and I'm gonna be show up myself good. I mean, like good means full plans only, basically. And I made some book advice who stutter from 28 therapists or something like that, by one rapper. I first time I met with, I mean by book, I met with one rapper techniques, let's say. Then my life little bit changed, because all my life I was like feeling I need to hide it. If it's good communicator, you have to be fluent speaker, basically. I mean, system teach us this. I mean, we are stutter. We are not seeing people at bank who sailor person. They are not stutter. They're usually movies or whatever in social life. They show us that they are fluent or whatever. And system teach us we shouldn't be stutter if we're doing these jobs, or we cannot be good communicator because of this speech slowness, let's say, or repetition or whatever. So I read that book and I started basically show off part can be this part in my life. I started to confessing people I'm stutter, and first time in book basically says like you should do on purposely voluntarily studying as well, but I couldn't do it because first time when I started I bodily tell people I'm stutter, so I get the plus. You're gonna say that plus you are stutter, it's kind of a little bit harsh. That's why I started just I'm stutter, then I keep going voluntarily stuttering, and that makes my life change. And I started like phone calls and I try to listen myself. It makes me more acceptance my stuttering as a person. And I told, like, for example, when I said, my father told me that time, what happened to you? I couldn't tell a word to him. What happened? He knows me, but this, for example, even our family or whoever, we are stutter and we cannot change it. So stutter people, firstly, they have to learn not to stutter. We have to learn how the reaction to it. I mean, why I feel bad of to somebody tell me, oh, what happened to you? I'm stutter. Why I couldn't tell him, or why I couldn't tell the customer I have speech difficulty? It took longer than usual. I mean, I got so many jobs. I always trying to prove myself not to stutter all my life, and I'm seeing right now, it's kind of, I'm hopefully my word is like kind of a little bit vesting my life because of we shouldn't be try to be different person. We are stutter. We don't have to be like normal speaker. Like I'm seeing this. For example, when I was working as a server, other guy he was speaking very well. I mean, like fluent, let's say, not very well. And I was not little bit, okay, I was jealous of him because of I was preparing myself 10 minutes to say how was everything going, and he's saying like spontaneously whenever he wants. And I was feeling it was not fair race competition to I am like with him, because if I am trying to competition with the server who is not stutter, there's no way I can win this competition. This is first thing, we should leave the competition. Then there is no winner. There is no one better than me. I am then got self-confidence, and if I feeling no one better than me because of my speech. So in this case, I mean, of course, during work, hopefully we have time, right? I am not like too long.
We've got another 2 minutes.
Okay. So, I mean, of course, there's so many people in the social life or work can be rude to us or something like that. I am not saying I mean, like just they can do whatever they want, but we don't have to get wrong or they make fun of us or they didn't like us. Then move on. we gonna live this life. Whoever love us. If I am like, for example, you didn't, some people, they don't like your face and they don't like you, right? We don't have to get like from whole people. We gonna live this life. Whoever love us like this, not like trying to be someone else or trying to be tree all your life and try to prove yourself by speech. I mean, really, I mean, why we have to do that? Like, this is too much responsibility, hiding it like too much in same time. That's why I'm just saying we born like this. I mean, we didn't born like this, but we have to live with it as a stutter. Any job, any work, any couple, like partner, if even their family, if they don't like you, you don't have to be changed for them. We are like this. I don't want to be too long. We know I am last person to talk. So thank you so much for all. Peace.
Thank you. I think all of us could hear you speak for a lot longer, because what you're saying, and you're saying with so much passion and heart, is to be truly yourself. We don't have to prove ourselves, and we don't have to hide ourselves. And who we are with our utter is exactly perfect as we are. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your life story, which I'm sure is near and dear to your heart. Thank you again to our panelists, and thank you to everyone that joined. It was really special.